Last time on the poker vlog.
With $75 in the pot, and holy crap, we just binked a straight flush when the 10 of diamonds peels off, and I elect to wager $25, and he snaps off his remaining 48, and I call. I check again. Now, in the moment, mind you, I felt I had the board completely locked up outside, possibly a flush draw coming in.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Happy Face Holdem. I appreciate you being here. Take a minute, like the video, subscribe down below if you haven't already, leave a positive comment, and don't forget to ring that little notification bell so you are notified when I drop new content. Hey, two quick announcements before we get started. Meetup game at Hustler Casino January 9th. It's the West Coast Poker Vloggers. That's right, it could be myself, Fish Poker, Think Blue Poker, Doug McCusker, and Andrew Locke. Come join us from noon to 6 p.m. January 9th for some 2-3 No Limit Holdem with a $100 to $500 buy-in cap. We hope to see a lot of you there. All right, second announcement. We have a charity fundraiser poker tournament here in Simi Valley on January 22nd. If you've never been to Simi Valley, what a chance to come out and see the happy face that's mowed right into the side of the hill. That's where this poker channel got its name from. So come on out. There's a link in the description below to buy your tickets at $65 to enter. You get a $1,500 starting stack. And what's better than we get to play together. Sounds like a lot of fun. There's going to be some prizes. It's a charity thing to support the local high school baseball club. So I hope to see you out here January 22nd. All right. Congratulations to all our winners from the last vlog that showed on Instagram. Their 6-4 suited hands. Thank you for participating in that. That was a lot of fun to read those stories. And your prizes are in the mail out to you. And you probably already have them already. All right. Let's get in some hands.
Our first hand is from the cutoff with 500 in our starting stack, Queen 8 suited. We decide to open the action to $15, playing in position after the button folds behind us. The big blind, he's going to be the only caller in this hand as we get this 5-5 No Limit Holdem poker session down at Commerce Casino started for the day. Off to the flop heads up, it looks really pretty good for our hand with 10, deuce, ace, 2 hearts. As expected, the big blind checks to us and plays in flow. We opt for a larger size c-bet of 2/3 pot, holding the second nut flush draw, and the big blind quickly tosses in the calling chip faster than any action for a high school boy on prom night. Building the pot to $70, we're a little excited to see a red 6, but quickly realizing it's a diamond, we fail to hit our flush. The big blind decides to check again, and I pondered this one for just a minute. As quick as he called, I'm kind of putting him on a flush draw also. I think a good ace at least considers raising flop, and a weak ace doesn't call that fast. Something like 2-pair, ace 10 may call quickly, but realistically, any 2-pair or sets is raising the flop for protection, so I fire a second barrel of $45. He definitely thinks about this one longer than prior, and the way he looks back at his cards, I am more than convinced he's on a flush draw when he decides to make the call. Pretty happy when we get the jack of hearts on the river, and a little surprised the big blind checks for a third time. I take for a minute deciding if polarizing is right or betting for value. Because he didn't take over aggression on the river, I'm now wondering what only an ace may call here on the river, although a flush draw may check back the turn, and my hand may be a bit under rep with the turn bet. But if he does have a flush, possibly it's a baby flush, and a larger bet leads to a fold. So I opt for value, about half pot bet. He really goes into the tank this time, and as expected, I'm sure we have the winner here. Had he snap called, I would have regretted the smaller bet size, so I'm actually pretty happy to see him taking some time to think about it. While we wait for him to decide, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and click that notification bell so you're notified when I drop a new vlog. Thank you so much for all the support. He ultimately elects to make the call. We flip over the queen high flush, and he slides his cards face down in the direction of the dealer. Nice way to start a session down here at the Commerce. On to the next hand, I open the action to $15 from under the gun, looking down at ace 5 suited. +1, the low jack, and the high jack all pretty quickly make the call. And the button, he ultimately decides to make the call as well. Both players in the blinds fold, and we'll be playing 5 ways for $75 and unfortunately out of position in an extremely multi-way pot. The flop comes out looking pretty sexy. Deuce 7 queen with 2 diamonds. Now, although I'm up against 4 other players, I do opt to c-bet this flop as I should have all the queens in range, and in reality, I have the nut flush draw, so I go for about 25 bucks. +1 doesn't think that 25 is enough. He gathers himself and some of his chips, and he literally slams a raise of $75 on the table with only $90 or so behind. The action folds back around to me. I might as well realize my equity at this point. I grab a stack of $5 yellows and add a white 100 on top and re-raise, putting him all in, and he snap calls. We fail to see any improvement with the 6 of clubs and the deuce of hearts, completely missing the flush, straight, and not even hitting our ace. He rolls over queen 10 of diamonds after we tell him we missed, and he'll scoop this one up. All right, let's get back to business and open the next pot to $20. I have a question for all of you. How has the game changed since mid-June where you live? I'm finding the player pool is shrinking and games are getting tougher. I think in Los Angeles we had a lot of players in the game collecting unemployment and stimulus money who have all gone back to work now. Anyways, we're sitting in under the gun, holding pocket 10s. +1 raises to 65. The action folds back around to me and I have a decision to make. I work on counting out his bet to determine how much his raise was. He's pretty short stack, so I'm considering just jamming here. But ultimately, land on just a call, so we'll be heads up to a flop with $140 in the middle. I really like a 3-bet jam here instead of a flat, but again, just conveying what happened in the moment through the poker vlogs. All right, the dealer collects things up, scoops the chip in the middle, and we go to a flop. We get a 2-heart, 4-7 queen flop, and I check. +1 decides to ship it all for about $175. Quite an overbet. I think if he has ace queen or king queen here with no hearts, he's making this bet to protect against or charge for possible flush draws. I suppose he could be doing this with a flush draw himself, and I block a handful of flushes, but I don't see making this call a profitable move. Not sure that's ever stopped me before, but I fold, and he'll scoop this one up. Okay, on to the next hand. I started recording a little late. The cutoff opened the action to 20, the small blind made the call, and in the big blind, I closed the action with a call after looking at ace-7 suited of the heart variety. The flop is quite, well, just the nuts. I check, which is what I always do, but wonder what you think. Is this a board we should be leading into the preflop aggressor 3-ways? The cutoff c-bets for 25, and the small blind decides to get out of the way. I don't want to scare the cutoff out of this pot just yet, so I flat, and the pot builds to $115, and I'm hoping he continues his aggression. The turn is a blank, 7 of spades, although some weird straights get there. None of us should have any of that in our range. So I check. The cutoff this time tosses in 1 white chip, $100. Wow. He really likes his hand. So is this the time I get it all in? Looks like he was about 315 behind. I Hollywood it a bit, and I decide that I'm just going to flat here. So long as we don't see another heart on the river, I think I'll take the lead on the river and show some aggression. So now with 315 in the middle, the 8 of clubs is a brick on the river. In my opinion, this is a great card. I can now lead out with a huge bet, looking like a missed flush draw or an overvalued straight, as I was just check calling the whole way, and he really likes whatever he has. With 305 behind, I'm going for all of it, and I jam. He only marinates on this one for about 20 seconds. The same player we beat earlier with the second nut flush and played the hand very differently, betting out all 3 streets. I'm hoping he sees this as a bluff. And he does flick in a single chip signaling a call. I turn over the nuts, and he actually shows he had queen 10 of hearts, flopped flush over flush. Dang. Happy to scoop this pot up. On to the next one. 3 limpers ahead of me, and I look down at a suited ace-9, Flintstone style, clubs on the button, and I raise the 25 bucks. For some reason, the dealer starts to think the button is wrong, and after some moving and debating, the button comes back to me, to its rightful position, on me. Under the gun makes the call for 15, as does the player in the +1 seat, so of course the hijack wants his piece, and also makes the call, getting a great price, and so does the cutoff. Wow. Very passive pre-flop action, and yet another multi-way pot going 5 ways to a flop, with a bloated 125 in the middle before we see any community cards. Well, sometimes flops are just ugly like this 7 king 3 rainbow board. The action fairly quickly checks to me. I decide on the fly that although we're 5 ways, this king high dry board favors my range, and a small bet should get the job done, or at least narrow the field significantly. I continuation bet for $30 with 1 over and a backdoor flush draw. I guess we accomplished part of our goal by narrowing the field, but under the gun and +1 both decide to make the call. Okay, so now 215 in the middle. We're going to need a ton of help to improve on the turn, and the 7 of diamonds is not going to do that for us. Both players quickly check to me for the second time, and I'm happy to check behind at this point. Easily both players can have a king, and a second pair could have called flop and floated one, and now, yep, hitting trips. I think a 7 holding checks to me and hopes I bet at it. We're unimproved on the river as the 2 of clubs hits the board. Under the gun checks, and +1 leads for $100. Nothing to do here. No bluffs I can find, and I just get out of the way. Under the gun folds, and pretty certain +1 had the 7. Sitting in the cutoff, there were 2 limpers, and I over-limp behind both of them. The button goes and ruins the fun and raises to $20. The big blind and under the gun make the call for 20 each, and I have to decide with middling pocket pair what to do with $11.50 in my stack. We're all deep enough, I can set mine here, and I make the call. We have $80 in the pot, and we go 4 ways to a flop. We don't hit our set, but we get a low board of 7-3-4, 2 spades. A good board for our limp calling late position range, but likely better to the big blind. We double block the straight draw and have no spades. The action checks around back to the button, who fires a c-bet for $25. Relatively small for the pot. This board is pretty wet and connected. I would expect a check behind from an overpair, or maybe a huge bet from something like ace-king. The big blind decides this board crushes his range. As I mentioned before, I thought maybe it would, and elects to raise to 105. Under the gun folds, and I highly consider making a call, double blocking the straight, but with 2 spades on board, the 5 of spades is removed as one of my 4 outs. Of the 2 6s that would give me a set, the spade is also dead. So even if I ultimately get there, I'm likely not good, and taking all this into consideration, I just have to let it go. The button folds, and we move on to the next one. This one, we look at a pretty suited connector hand, 5-4 in position. I raised to $15 with a limper ahead of me, and both blinds decide to call. And the prior limper, of course, he makes a call. So we're 4 ways looking for a miracle flop. Ace 4 ace rainbow is actually quite good for our perceived range and for our actual hand, so we like it. The action checks to me, and I quickly c-bet for $25. And you know what? That's going to get the job done. Sometimes poker is really easy. All right. Let's just rack up and book the win here at Commerce Casino.
Next time on Happy Face Holdem.
Can we get a bluff through with only king high? We flopped the nut straight. Can we get paid and grow our stack any bigger? We're all in playing an $1,100 pot with a nut draw. Can we bink it? Tune in next time.
All right, guys, hope you enjoyed that one. That wraps it up from the Commerce Casino. This was a session that I played back in June, so a little late to the vlog, but yeah, how has the poker game where you live changed since June? I know it's changed a lot around here. Here's all the numbers on the session. Not bad. Always like a profit. I'm always happy to take a profit. Who isn't happy to win? All right, don't forget about the meetup game at Hustler Casino January 9th and the charity poker tournament January 22nd, 2022. All the information is down in the description below. Thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate you watching, liking, subscribing, getting me over 3,000 subscribers. We're on our way to 5,000, so it's really, really cool to see the channel grow. And until next time, guys, don't forget, wash your hands.